YB stays on your neck.
But you're never one to be in the ring and sort of warming up and sweating when you come in the ring.
This is the slight changes where I need to start taking this approach to my fights, where I'm a bit more lively, a bit more positive. I know I'm capable of.
Was that a conscious effort to stay calm?
Exactly, a conscious effort.
Maybe you don't need to stay calm. You need to be switched on.
I've got to be, because it's too much at stake. Because if I go in there with the mindset of I'm switched on, a time like the Ruiz fight where I'm so relaxed, that might be the difference. Where I've built it in me to build up that I'm ready, to the point where that one time when I'm thinking, you know, I don't really want to do this, but because I've got that enthusiasm in the fight, I'm already 20% better than I would have been if I would have been my normal self.
Which has been...
Yo, my dance, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So we just heard there from Anthony. Needs to get up for it. Joshua. Now, when I first heard this video, I didn't actually think much of it. I thought, man, have I got anything to add? But then, I had a thought from my past come through and kind of, it invigorated me to do this video. Anywho, so we hear AJ here talking about how he needs to start going into fights bang on it. And like I said a second ago, didn't mean much to me initially. And then I realised something in my own life. Now, as I've said before, I've been to a relatively high level in sport. And I can personally vouch, there's been times, in fact, all of my good performances have come when I've gone into the event with the full intention and knowing this is gonna hurt. Now, my sport was an athletic sport where you're essentially racing against the clock. So, under them circumstances, you know every time you're going to be dead, because there's no way you can't be dead. Because if you want to do your best time, you've got to leave everything in there. Now, with that in mind, whilst boxing, once you've got an opponent, it's slightly different, but it fundamentally it's the same. Meaning, like myself, my best performances were when I admitted to myself, you got to be prepared to go in there and leave it all there. And all the other times when I wasn't as committed and as focused, you'd get in there, kind of go through the motions and get out at the end, finish at the end, and no deep down in your heart, I didn't give it all. I didn't leave it all there. But them real key performances, after them, you know, because you prepared beforehand to go in there and leave it there. Otherwise, it's almost like a mental. The way I almost like to think of it is, you know, people back in the Middle Ages, when they'd literally be prepared to die on a battlefield. That's what it reminds me of, because I think about it myself. I think about what kind of mindset were they in? They were on a cold ass battlefield. Think of all the thousands of men who have laid, or millions of men over time, who have laid there on a cold ass battlefield, dying, with a whole bunch of men bundled on top of you. Craziness. But that's what I'm saying. You got to have that kind of mindset where you go in there and you say to yourself, now it's easy for me to sit here and say this, but this is what I imagine it takes. You got to be able to say, especially when you're a particular kind of fighter like AJ is. As an example, Fury, and I mentioned this a few videos ago, but Fury, he doesn't really need to get up for fights because he's not going in there to do anything. He's not going in there to inflict his will. He's going in there to kind of nip and tuck and, oh yes, he won 12 rounds. That's what I'm trying to say. Whereas AJ's going in there for a particular purpose. He's going in there to take someone's head off. Or he's going in there, even if AJ's fighting defensively, people like to point out the Joseph Parker win. Even that, he didn't take a back step, by the way. Even that was inflicting his will. His jab completely shut down. Remember, let's get it right as well, before everyone gets confused. Parker was talking about, good day, mate. Yeah, mate. Oh, Joshua's chin, mate. Oh, yeah, I got combinations, mate. Good day, mate. Kangaroo, mate. That's what they was all saying. Talking about AJ's chin, talking about combinations, talking about, oh, good day, mate. Yeah, mate. Joseph Parker, mate. Yeah. They were saying all this sort of business. Talking about what he was going to do, being offensive. So that offensive, he was talking about New Year's, he was talking about being an all black, he was talking about being a New Zealand rugby player, New Zealand this and New Zealand that. He got in there, he got jabbed in his face, and didn't want to know, he didn't want any parts of it. So that's relevant because Parker was talking about being the bad guy in there. And it's not as if Parker's not used to being a bad guy, because we've seen Parker versus Huey Fury, and he was, listen, Parker looked like Mike Tyson in there that night. All over him like a rash. All over him like a bad rash. But AJ's inflicted his will, and that completely shut down all the New Zealand business went flying out the window. Let's get it right. I know there'll be people who hear this and are sour, but it's the truth. Maybe it's me being biased. You tell me. Go back and watch the Joseph Parker versus AJ fight. Did Joseph Parker inflict any of his will? No, he did not. And even that, me personally, I think that particular strategy is going to struggle against Ruiz, in as much as a jab and a right hand. It's not a bad idea, but I still think you're going to have to make sure Ruiz knows that he can't just come forward. You're going to have to turn him off. And I guess you could argue a jab and a right hand could do that, but still, I just keep thinking back to the type of fighter AJ is. He's not a jab, right hand kind of fight. That's not what he was anyway. Maybe we was sold a myth. That could also be the case. But I remember AJ's best work being done. Step with the jab. Right hand over the top as you're walking forward. Jab, right hand, and then we're on the inside. And then shots are flying. AJ shots are flying. Not shots being flown back. Does that make sense? Like, there isn't no, this is the problem. There isn't no, people keep saying, oh, he needs to run backwards. Oh, he needs to just jab and run backwards, fight long, fight. When has he ever done that? I'm honestly confused. I don't understand what people mean about he needs to go backwards and throw a jab. As if, just tell me one fight he's ever done that in, please. One fight. It's not going to work. He needs to go in there. Him and his great trainer, Rob McCracken, need to sit down and work out a game plan. An actual game plan. Not, oh, Josh, keep your hands up. Josh, keep your hands up. Josh, keep... That's not really a game plan. And besides, to be fair, the game plan should be done in the change room. All I'm saying is this, yeah, listen. All I know is this. AJ in that Ruiz fight. And even to be honest, AJ always looks, or recently, he looks like he's fighting, he's just kind of going through the motions. Like, even if you look at the Povetkin fight, he kind of got in there and settled in, and then, yeah, he won the fight in the end, but there's never any... I feel like before, there'd be a purpose behind his work. He'd always be looking to be doing something. Now he kind of just gets in there and kind of goes through the motions. I don't know what that's about, but mate, I'm just hoping that it's not the case in this next fight, because this is what you pay trainers for. You pay elite trainers to develop game plans. And I want to see a damn game plan. I wouldn't mind, you know what I mean? At this level, I wouldn't mind seeing a game plan. You know, win or lose, that's what I keep mentioning. It's not actually about winning or losing, it's about the process. If AJ has a solid game plan, he has a full gas tank. If he has a full gas tank and a good game plan and he loses, no one can argue with that. What we can argue with, if you've got 3 rounds of gas and you're just kind of ferrying about, that you can't lose. If you don't win doing that, people are going to have problems, myself included. That's not good enough. Oh, well, I ran out of gas after 2 rounds. I've got 20 S&C coaches, but I ran out of gas after 3 rounds, and I got in there and kind of just played her out for 3 rounds. Not good, no good, no good. Game plan. Execute game plan. If you get caught, fine. It's got to be a game plan, though, man. It's got to be one. There's got to be something. You got. If you're gonna lose, you've got to lose knowing. Well, listen, I tried A, B, C, D, and it didn't come up. It didn't work my way tonight. That's what I think. And in making a game plan and committing to this is what you do throughout training camp. You start training camp with a goal in mind, and throughout training camp you work on that goal, or you work on that process. And then when it gets to the fight, and you know it's the same as you've been doing in training for 12 weeks. You know you've got to do A, B, C, D. And you've done it 1,000 times over the last 13 weeks. And then it just becomes a habit then. How it doesn't become a habit is if you're in training camp and you kind of just doing the pads and you're hitting the bag and you're just kind of milling around. There's no focus. There should be one clear goal. And even if that is a jab and run backwards, at least be able to do that for 12 rounds. God's sake, do you know what I'm trying to say? If you want to turn AJ into a giraffe, into a runner, at least make sure he can run and throw a jab for 12 rounds. And when I say throw a jab, I don't mean, oh, well, he threw 10 jabs and ran out of gas. I mean throw a jab. If you're gonna play the run backwards and throw a jab game, he needs to be throwing 50 jabs around. That's what he does need to be doing. 100%. It needs to be doubling. It needs to be tripling. That's what needs to happen. Either way here. There's got to be something. It can't be, oh, well, YB is going to run backwards and throw 10 jabs around. Well, you're going to get knocked out. That's what's going to happen there. Because Ruiz 10 jabs ain't going to turn him off. That's for sure. So either way, actually, whilst I don't agree AJ is going to win going backwards, at least if you are going to train him to go backwards, make it a solid game plan that you've prepared for and that you've been doing. This guy, in my opinion, AJ, as I said, more recently, he just looks more confused. It's like he's ever since Tony Sims disappeared, ever since the start of his career, he's kind of slowly moved into this middle ground of not, oh, I want to be a boxer. Oh, do you know what I mean? There's no real focus there. He seemed like a confused fighter who doesn't have a single goal. And that single goal, in my opinion, should be solid jab. His jab should be improving. I can't remember ever seeing AJ throw a double jab, or more than a single, to be honest. And even his single jab in recent times has got more lethargic. It's got slower. It's got less stingy. When in reality, as years go on, it's not as if he's getting towards his 35, 36. He's moving into his prime. So from 26 to 30, your jab should be getting better with experience. It should be getting faster. It should be getting snappier, not more lethargic. But what can I say? What do I know? But listen, the jab needs to be improving. The right hand. And these things are easy for me to sit here and say, but it's not a lie, is it? I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, YB, you're being a bit unfair here. His jab has improved. Show me some evidence of that, because I don't see it there. I really don't. When I think about the fights, like, we even take the Parker fight, for example. Jab was going in that fight. The right hand was going as well. And I've got a video coming out soon, actually. I'm going to expose some of his CompuBox fight stats in as much as... let me say that to you for that video, but listen... For the topic of this video, AJ in this is on the right idea. Too relaxed is no good. And actually, before I finish it, let me say this. Listen. In sport, especially when you talk to a lot of... In my time, I've spoken to a few sports scientists. And the problem with these sports scientists, 9 times out of 10, they've never actually done much themselves. That's the truth. That's the honest truth of it. They haven't actually never done much themselves. And they come in with all these... They come in here... With all the book theory, they've read a load of books of more people, and all these books are normally written by people who also haven't done it. They're just sitting there speculating, and a lot of these, they'll say things like, oh yeah, you need to be relaxed, and that's something I always remember hearing, oh yeah, you need to be relaxed, but on hindsight now, being relaxed, you need to be on your job. That's what you need to be on. I'm sorry, in my experience, now you could argue, well, you might not be the same as everyone else, but you've got to go in there knowing SHIT is going to kick off, knowing this is it, knowing this could be your last or whatever. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Knowing this is it. It's your time. It's your time to see what's up, to see what minerals you've got. You got whatever it is. In my opinion, every event you go into, now that doesn't mean you spend the nights and days before worrying about it. But when it comes to that particular point in time and that event, when AJ's in the ring before, he needs to know that I'm either gonna put it all on the line or I'm not. If you're not, that's also fine. But you need to commit one way or the other. If you're gonna go in there and just get knocked out, just go in there and get knocked out. But if you actually want to go for it, you've got to be prepared in your mind. You've got to mentally prepare. I'm gonna get hit. I'm gonna get hurt. I'm gonna take a nasty body shot probably, which is gonna make me want to go to my knees, etc. These things. You've got to be prepared and say, you know what? When and if this happens, assume the worst is gonna happen. I've decided tonight is going to be my night. I've decided tonight, never say die. Them one's there. That's what I'm trying to say. It's that mindset. But AJ seems convinced, or he's at least aware of it now, that the whole relaxed business is it's a sports psychologist scam. Being relaxed. Especially, and I'm talking about a sport which had nothing to do with any physical contact. I can't even imagine a sport with physical contact as a whole other kettle of fish. And when I think about Mike Tyson, for example, now I've said this before, but Mike Tyson and AJ, they're similar to an extent. Yes, AJ's longer. Yes, AJ's more dependent on his jab and his right hand, but they're not worlds apart. Some of AJ's best work is similar to some of Mike Tyson's best work. Just in terms of the inside fighting part. If you look at the Klitschko fight, AJ, I don't remember him throwing much jabs or right hands towards the end. It was pure inside, pure hooks and uppercuts. So with that in mind, I think AJ should be able to draw some parallels. Mike Tyson was the complete polar opposite of relaxed. He'd talk about walking towards the ring and being more confident, and when he gets in the ring, he's a god. Everything was about his purpose. Everything was about being ferocious. Now, I'd probably argue that he probably was he was too far off the edge on that one. but there's a curve to it, isn't there? There's a line, there's a distribution to it. And AJ needs to be on the more Mike Tyson side of things for this next fight and going forward for his career. That's the kind of fighter he is, in my opinion. Now he might be able to pull off, as I said earlier, if he's able to pull it off well, which I don't believe genetically speaking, I don't believe he is able to run backwards well. But if he is, hats off to him. Oh, honestly, if he wins 12 round jabbing Tyson Fury fight against Ruiz, I'll come on there and put my hands in the air and say, you know what? All you lot who was talking about, you was right and I was wrong. 100%, no problem. No problem at all. Anyway, let's see what happens.